Have you ever wondered how a scientific idea, something about birds and tortoises, could be twisted and used as a reason for one country to take over another? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today. Let's get into it.
It seems like a wild question, right? How can an idea about animals possibly be used to control people? But the answer to this question literally shaped our modern world. Understanding this is the key to unlocking a massive part of global history.
All right, first things first, we have to start with the original science. We're going to look at a really important theory about the natural world, and then see how it got twisted into something it was never, ever meant to be. So, you've probably heard of Charles Darwin. He studied all kinds of animals, like birds and tortoises, and he came up with this idea called natural selection. It's pretty straightforward. Creatures that have traits that help them survive in their environment, say a bird with a really strong beak that's perfect for cracking nuts, are more likely to live long enough to have babies and pass on those helpful traits. Now, the crucial thing to remember here is that Darwin was only talking about biology. This was about plants and animals, not people and society.
And here is where you can see the huge difference. On one side, you have Darwin's natural selection. That's real science, based on observing the world. But on the other, you have social Darwinism, which is an ideology. It's a set of beliefs, and it's not based on science at all. It basically hijacked Darwin's language to argue that the wealthiest and most powerful people in society were naturally better, and that this was just the way things were supposed to be.
I'm sure you've heard the phrase survival of the fittest, right? Well, here's a fun fact. Most people think Charles Darwin came up with it, but he didn't. It was actually coined by a philosopher named Herbert Spencer, and he applied it directly to human society. He was the one who argued that life was just a big competition where only the strongest come out on top. So how does this idea about human competition connect to world events? Well, in this next part, we're going to see how survival of the fittest became the perfect and most dangerous excuse for the age of empires. And that brings us to colonialism. Basically, back in the 1800s, this meant powerful European countries went out and took control of huge areas of land all across Africa and Asia. And let's be clear, the number one goal was to get wealthy by controlling the people and taking all their valuable natural resources. Now, to do something like that, these empires needed a really good justification, a story they could tell to make it all seem okay. And social Darwinism gave them that story. It became this twisted excuse that let them claim they were these superior ones and that it was their natural right to rule over other people. This justification often went by the name the civilizing mission. The story was that Europeans were actually helping the people they conquered by bringing them their language, their religion, and their way of life. But as you can see, it was just a myth. It was a mask to hide the real goal, which was to take resources and make money, all while ignoring the rich, ancient cultures that were already there.
So, what did this system actually look like on the ground? Let's dive into the very real human cost of all this greed.
It was essentially a massive transfer of wealth. Think about it. Incredible resources like gold, diamonds, cotton, tea, copper, you name it, were all taken from the colonies, shipped back to Europe, and used to power their industries. This made the empires unbelievably rich. And this wasn't an accident. The entire system was designed from the ground up to be unfair. It was built to keep the colonies poor while the empires got rich. Local people did all the hard work in the mines and on the farms, often for pennies or as forced labor, while almost all the profits went straight back to Europe. So how did they maintain control over a system that was so obviously unfair? Well, they used social Darwinism to build a racial hierarchy. The formula was pretty simple and pretty devastating. Step 1, divide people up based on how they look. Step 2, invent a fake ladder of human importance. Step 3, put your own group at the very top of that ladder. And step 4, use that ladder to justify treating everyone else unfairly. It was a powerful tool for control. But here's the thing, people never just accept being treated unfairly. This story is also one of incredible bravery. So now, let's talk about how people fought back and, in the end, won their freedom. Right from the beginning of colonialism, there was resistance. All over the world, people organized to fight for their freedom. They started newspapers to spread their ideas. They organized massive protests. And in many places, they even took up arms and fought wars of liberation to get their countries back. And this timeline shows us the turning point. After 2 incredibly destructive world wars, the European colonial powers were really weakened, both financially and militarily. At the exact same time, these independence movements were getting stronger and more organized. It created this perfect storm, and in the years after World War II, a huge wave of decolonization swept across the planet as dozens of colonies finally became free nations.
So why are we talking about all this history? I mean, a lot of this happened 100 years ago. Why does it still matter today? Let's get into the lessons we can take away.
Here's the most important takeaway. Ideas have consequences. This whole story is a powerful reminder of how easily an idea, even a scientific one, can be twisted and used as a weapon to justify terrible things. By understanding how this happened in the past, we can get better at spotting this kind of dangerous thinking when it pops up today.
The good news is, today we know better. Modern science tells us the exact opposite of what those social Darwinists were pushing. We know for a fact that all humans are part of one big family. No group is naturally better than any other. And we also know that while competition exists, the strongest societies are actually built on cooperation and treating everyone with respect.
So I'll leave you with this to think about. What really makes a society strong and successful in the long run? Is it a ruthless competition where only a few win? Or is it cooperation where everyone works together for the common good? Thanks for tuning in.